This meeting is called to order at 6:45 p.m. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Town of Cedar Lake Utility Board public meeting for July 2023. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge of allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan.
Here.
Julie Rivera is absent. Ralph Miller.
Present.
Colleen Sheehan. Here. John Foreman.
Present.
Richard Sharp is absent. Nick Recupito.
Here.
I am present. Chris Salata.
Present.
David Austin.
Present. All right, thank you, Jen. New business, item number 1, approval of the minutes from June 20th, 2023. If everybody's had a chance to read them, are there any additions or corrections?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay. Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made by Ralph, seconded by Colleen to approve the June 2023 minutes. Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan.
I'm voting no due to the fact that I'm having computer problems and couldn't get them pulled up. I didn't see them.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Colleen Sheehan. Yes. John Foreman.
Yes.
Nick Recupito.
Yes, motion carries 4-1. Thank you. Item number 2, NEAS pay request number 5 for the Crystal Oaks elevated water tank payable to Dixon Engineering Incorporated in the amount of $13,800. Mr. Neal, how are you, sir?
Good, thank you. Mr. President, this item and the next one, pay request 5 and 6, are for Dixon Engineering. They are the specialty inspectors for the elevated tank, and these items are related to the weld inspections and the painting for the elevated tower.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for Neal?
Neil, when was that tank painted?
The painting was completed, I believe, 3 weeks ago. I could research that and get the exact date, Bob, but within the past 3 weeks to a month.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Neal? Seeing none, do we have a motion to approve this pay request?
I'll make the motion to,
Second. Motion by Ralph, seconded by John to approve this pay request. Any questions on the motion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan.
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
yes.
Colleen Sheehan. Yes. John Foreman.
Yes.
Nick Recupito.
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Moving on to item number 3 would be the NEAS pay request number 6 for the Crystal Oaks elevated water tank payable to Dixon Engineering Incorporated in the amount of $16,100. And anything else to add to that, Neal?
No, Mr. President.
Okay. All right, thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve pay request number 6 for the
Okay.
Crystal Oaks elevated water tank.
Motion made by John, seconded by Colleen to approve this pay request. Any questions on the motion? Discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan.
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Colleen Sheehan. Yes. John Foreman.
Yes.
Nick Recupito.
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Item number 4 of the new business is an update to all services proposal for replacing the generator at Robin's Nest Pump House. The original amount was $69,500. An update to a new amount of $70,300, an increase of $800, with the proviso that payment of $35,150 to be paid upon approval. So half the amount. The original approval on April 19, 2022 was a motion to approve the proposal in the amount of $69,500. It was made by Ralph Miller with a second by Julie Rivera. Who would like to take this item? Tim, do you want to?
Yeah, the difference of the cost was due to relocation of the unit. We were going to put it behind the building. It turned out that the noise to the neighboring houses was going to be a factor. There was trees, and also the location where they determined to put it previous was right on top of the outlet pipe to the pump house, so there was a lot of things in favor with that location, so we moved it around to the west side of the building, you know, to keep it quieter for the neighborhood and easier to service and so on and so forth, so that adjusted the price a little bit. The actual amount the total amount is $70,300. We're asking to pay $65,300 right now because the generator is completely finished except for the startup. So everything is done. Have a schedule with the customers to they're gonna have to shut the water out for about an hour on the east side to be able to transfer over the transfer switch, and then, so obviously they gotta stop service, so they gotta notify everybody and do that, so that's being scheduled as we speak, so, we never did give them a deposit for the generator, and all the work is complete other than the startup, so, that would keep us owing them $5,000 after it started up and tested and ran and, final completion, so.
Okay.
So you're saying 65,500?
65,300, which would leave a balance of 5,000.
Will there have to be a boil order when they shut it down?
I'm not sure I'm sure there probably will have to be a boil advisory. Because when they shut it down, the pressure is gonna definitely drop to below 20, so. Well, it will not be an order, but it'll be an advisory. Nothing's gonna, the only thing that's gonna happen is the pressure will drop to below 20, nothing's gonna be opened up, or nothing's going to be, but that will trigger a boil advisory.
Do you know when that would be planned for, Tim?
They were planning it for the next 2 weeks, but I don't know that they picked a day as of now.
Okay.
So it was kind of, now they have a thing where they just need 4 days' notice to notify the Cummins people to start up the generator, so I think they were working out the logistics with everybody to make sure everything worked, and then they were gonna notify the customers and get it done.
All right. All right, thanks for the explanation. So just to be clear, the the complete amount is still the same, $70,300, but we're approving spending $65,300 of it immediately. So it's a modification of the request?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. All right.
I would make a motion to approve the pay of $65,300
I'll second.
for all services.
Okay, a motion made by John, seconded by Colleen, update this proposal with a total amount of $70,300 and pay $65,300 as soon as possible for work done with a balance of $5,000. Any questions on the motion? Roll call?
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Nick Recupero?
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Item number 5, needs pay request number 6 for the Utopia Water Main Replacement Project payable to Gatlin Plumbing and Heating Incorporated in the amount of $244,397.20. Mr. Neal?
This is a routine pay request for items completed since the last meeting, and the amount of $244,397.20 is the pay request approved and recommended to be paid toward Gatlin.
Okay, what exact work was done for that?
So within this pay request, we had roadway excavation, binder, surface, curbs. We had a portion of the restoration, fence replacement, and then 15% of mobilization, maintenance, traffic, and construction engineering.
Thank you.
I have some concerns about their work over there. I drove over there, I took some pictures, I have them on my phone. The landscaping they did, which people came in here and complained about, I find unacceptable.
Yeah, we do have a punch list, and we do have retainage in the amount of $135,000, $135,020. And the representative of Gatlin is here, and these items not only are on the punch list, but we have sufficient funds to cover any issues that are included in the restoration. So they have begun completing those, as we've always discussed on these water main relocation and replacement projects, that the restoration is absolutely the most challenging part of those, and they are working towards those, but we have not only the retainage amount, but the performance and related material payment bonds to cover those items to protect the town and the residents.
You bet.
We had a resident that came in here and said, Gatlin, they're not a landscaper, they should have hired a landscaper to do the.
But in hindsight too, Bob, in your defense, and we were in a pretty harsh drought up until the last 4 weeks, 3 weeks, so whoever the landscaper is or was, I'm sure it was a challenging time, but as long as it gets done, you know, it's always challenging during a project. They have to make it right.
Some
Neil
of that
just said that.
stuff looks like it's got mounds on it.
I get it, I understand, I drove through there.
And that's what
They'll
we
make
keep
it
a
right.
punch list, and that's where we keep the
They'll make it
performance bond, through the entirety of the period.
So Matt Murphy's in attendance tonight?
Correct.
Where's he at? Okay, hi, Mr. Murphy. I'm sure we're gonna have some folks concerned in the public comment section, and he can hopefully address some of those concerns as well.
And rightfully so.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to make it right. We tore up the neighborhood, we have to make it right. We are Gatlin at this point, but we have, as you said, a chunk of change to make it right if it isn't.
Yeah, and we have a punch list that we've reviewed with staff and, your Director of Operations as well.
100%.
Okay. Thank you for the explanation, Neil, and the questions, everybody. Do we have a motion to approve this pay request?
I'll make a motion to pay the bill.
Do we have a second?
I would second Ralph's motion in the amount of $244,397.20.
Okay, motion made by Ralph, seconded by John to approve this pay request for the Utopia Water Main Replacement Project, the Gatlin Plumbing and Heating. Any questions on the motion or
I
discussion?
would say that with Neil's explanation, I'm happy that they're gonna stay on top of it to see that this is corrected.
Yeah, and we have the retainage too, a rather large amount. Thanks, Bob. Roll call?
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes?
Nick Recupero?
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Item number 6, NEAS pay request number 2 for the East Side Water Transmission Main Project payable to H&G Underground Utilities LLC in the amount of $438,018.33. Neil?
This is a routine pay request on the East Side Transmission Main. Once the contractor completes some work towards the beginning of next week, which is requested by staff, they will begin the restoration of Edison, 140th and 141st, south and east of the project where the Paradise Cove facility is at.
Okay.
I have a question on this too, Neil. I'm getting a lot of complaints on Morris. Is that going to be totally redone there, or is that the final product?
I made some of those points, Bob. We have several issues that need to be addressed with the work that's going to be completed next week. And once that work is completed, then we'll do the restoration of the asphalt and continue through some of the other issues we've dealt with on Utopia specifically for the grass and the lawn restoration.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve this pay request to H&G Underground Utilities?
I'll make a motion to pay the request for $438,018.33 with H&G.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, motion made by Colleen, seconded by John to approve this pay request. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes?
Nick Recupero?
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Item number 7 is NEAS pay request number 7 for the East Side Elevated Water Storage Tank payable to Caldwell Tanks Incorporated in the amount of $207,900.
This is a routine pay request. Generally, these items that are included are the electrical and the tank coating is the main portion of this routine pay request.
Thank you. So we're getting really close to the pay request being done on that one?
We are moving in a positive direction.
Okay. Always good. Any questions for Neil on this item? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
I'd make a motion to approve the NEAS pay request 7 for the elevated water storage tank to Caldwell for the amount of $207,900.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion by John, seconded by Ralph to approve this pay request. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven? Yes. John Foreman?
Yes.
Nick Recupero?
Yes, motion carries 5-0. The last pay request is NEAS pay request number 7 for the West Side Sanitary Sewer Interceptor Project 1, payable to LGS Plumbing Incorporated in the amount of $100,078.43. It's all you, Neil.
This is a routine pay request for LGS for the West Side Interceptor Project 1, and they are moving forward, proceeding towards Klein Avenue, and in the amount of $100,078.43.
What particular work was this for?
This is one run of a sanitary sewer. They are in the deepest part of that sewer right now on 159th, so their progress for the past 2 months has been expectedly slow, but at the pay request last month, there was also one run from a manhole to a manhole, approximately 380 to 400 feet.
How deep? Just out of curiosity.
The deepest was 27 feet.
Wow.
But that's why it's gravity.
Of course.
And then we're approaching the areas where we're 12 to 15 feet just coming up this next week, and you'll see that for next month.
That'll move much faster.
And then we get under the railroad, and that'll be much slower.
All right, thank you, Neil.
Thank you.
I would just like to add a few things, like you informed us so the benefit of the public knows that this will not have a lift station, that it's all gravity fed, and it's going to take approximately 3 to 4 years to complete.
Yeah, through the extension of the completion of the West Side Interceptor. You're absolutely correct, Bob.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Do we have a motion to approve this pay request to LGS Plumbing?
I'll make the motion to approve for the $100,078.43.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made by Ralph, seconded by Colleen to approve this pay request. Any discussion on the motion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven? Yes. John Foreman?
Yes.
Nick Recupero?
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Item number 9 is future water capacity needs planning discussion.
No update.
No update? Okay, Chris, thank you. Item number 10, written report, fund report for the treasurer, Ms. Sandberg.
Board members, the cash and expenditure reports were previously sent out to you all, and as we have now just approved all of the pay requests, I will be working on those the next couple of days.
Super, thank you. Number 11, item 8, engineer needs sanitary and water update, sir.
I have no further reports based on the activities of this meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Kubiak, do you have anything under Director of Operations?
No, we're just working on the 11 Lake Lift Station, getting some proposals to get that new equipment in there, so we're hoping to have that going here in the next couple months. So it's everybody we're getting price is from is booked up until probably September, October, so we're hoping to have it lined up and scheduled before that time.
That's not Lemon Lake Park, it's Lemon Lake Estates, correct?
11 Lake Lift Station.
Across from the Boys and Girls Club.
Yes.
All right.
Lift Station 19.
Very good. All right, thank you, Tim. Mr. Austin, anything? No reports. Okay, thank you. Item number 12, JMOB report. Chris?
JMOB meeting will be Tuesday, July 25th, 6 p.m. here at Town Hall.
Tuesday, July 25th at, what time was that?
6 p.m.
6 p.m.? Okay, thank you. Moving on to public comment for the utility board. Any public comment for the utility board? Oh, come on up. Yep, please, and state your name and address for the record.
Yeah, Tom Kruger, 13614 Ivy Street, Cedar Lake, Indiana. I am one of those Utopia residents, and I was wondering if the gentleman from Gatlin can possibly come up here, and I know, I'm happy that we're making progress. There's a punch list, that's good news, but I'm wondering if he can get up here and just fill us in on what's going to be done differently, because so far, every letter we've gotten from them, from you guys, has been a lie. You guys say you're going to be finished in March, and it's the end of June, beginning of July, and you guys are just now finishing. So, right now, like, I'm heated. Like,
Talk to the board, please.
You go ahead.
I'm heated right now, so I would love for this gentleman to come up and actually explain to us so we can get it, you know, so there's other Utopia residents here, and I would like to know what's gonna be taking place, how they're gonna take care of, the tomato plants we got in all our easements and stuff, as you know, and, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. So just the completion
I'm
of
just,
it.
I'm upset that it even got to that point. Because last time we were here, we talked about it. We were told it was gonna be done in, May, the end of May, all the landscaping was gonna be done. They'd show up on a Monday, they wouldn't show up for a week and a half. You know, don't tell me you can't get black dirt when you can get black dirt anywhere, you know? So, the curbs, the streets are a mess. You know, Milestone came in and patched what they could, but they destroyed the rest of the streets. You could drive through there, you could see where they're all cracked, it's all right in front of my house, right on the corner, it's just chipping away, chipping away, and chipping away. Why Milestone just didn't cut that out and patch that right there? It's a foot away from where they did patch. They ran over my easement, and I'll tell you right now, I didn't let Gatlin do my easement or my yard, I did my own. They dumped the dirt and I did it myself. And then I got Milestone driving the trucks over my, I'm not gonna call it your easement, but my work that I did. You know, I was out there till 9:30 at night for 3 days in a row, and I have other residents that'll vouch for that, you know, and now it's just, it's garbage,
Yeah,
it's ruined. It's frustrating,
Yeah.
so,
We-
that's all I got.
We'll get Mr. Murphy up here, and
Thank
once
you.
we get a few people up here, and
Appreciate
hopefully address the concerns. Thanks, Mr. Kruger. Any other public comment? State your name and address for the record, please.
Rod Burnett, 13466 Drummond Street, Cedar Lake. I live in the Utopia subdivision, same thing Tommy said. Chop trees down, not replacing trees, ripping out all people's brick pavers, edgers, not replacing any of that. Our whole back berms, the whole backside of Drummond, they didn't even put grass seed down even the last time they went through. I was already mowing my yard. I had put down about 50, 60 pounds of my own grass seed, watering it, trying to bring it in, keep our yards looking nice like Tommy does. And they come in, they scalp the grass, leave the clumps all over the place. They haven't buried me, my neighbor, or Eddie Lopez's invisible fences. They ripped down Tommy's fence, Randy Niemeyer's. Both of them also have dogs. Now they have to walk their dogs on a leash versus just letting them out the back door.
Was all that done in the easement that you're aware of? Like utilities?
No, mine was actually in my yard. They kind of came in, threw some dirt on it, no grassy. My neighbor, they came in the one Friday to mow, they did down the one side, stopped at my yard at 3 o'clock, and Eric and Jacqueline's yard is about this tall and just weeds.
Okay.
So, no visible fence line, buried, nothing. They came out and were videotaping Gatlin, and my wife went out there and talked to them and said, are you guys gonna bury the invisible? Well, how are we supposed to do that? I don't know, get a trencher? That's all.
All right, thank you, Mr. Burnett. Any other public comment for the utility board?
Yeah. So I live next to Tommy, didn't know I was gonna be here. My whole backyard is ripped up.
Can you say your name and
Oh,
address?
I'm sorry, my name is Jan Credit.
Okay, address, please?
9710 West 136th Lane.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, and mine is just, the whole backyard is messed up. And the grass seed or whatever they went, it's actually weed seed. I don't know, there's weeds this high in my backyard. Plus, they took the fence down, and they never replaced the fences. And next to my shed, they have all poles of fence equipment, and on the other side, they took my fire pit down, and that's all on the other side of my shed. So it's kind of frustrating, because I can't do it, so.
Driving through is apparent, there's a lot of work that needs to be done.
It's terrible, it's just a mess, and I always had a nice yard, you know, but it doesn't look good.
Yeah, we'll get these comments addressed with Mr. Murphy, maybe Neil or Chris, regarding the restoration.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment for the utility board?
Hey, Deborah Burnett, 13466 Drummond Street. No, just like what Tommy and my husband Rob had said, you know, the neighborhood still looks pretty dismal. Since we were last here, since the last council meeting, Gatlin, I've seen them out once. That's when twice. One time, we had a gentleman just walking through our backyard videotaping. No knock on the door, any type of courtesy. I have an invisible fence
he was within my invisible fence line, so my dogs could have easily gotten to him, which is kind of frightening for me, you know, and possibly him. They came through, scalped the yard. One thing that I did ask them about was additional dirt for our berm. They did excavate and lower our berm. Our backyard is a swamp. On the north side of our Drummond Street circle is a retention pond. That retention pond overflows into the swamp behind us, which goes into the drainage ditch, which runs behind the houses on Drummond. There's a detention pond on the other side of the neighborhood. We have had that swamp overflow one time since we've been there in 15 years. That was in 2008. One of my main concerns is us having some type of torrential rain and that swamp filling, especially with all the building that's occurring on 133rd now, and all of that extra water coming our way. I would say approximately it's lowered by 6 inches from what it was pre-excavation. I mean, I'm not a surveyor, but I'm pretty positive that Gatlin didn't have a surveyor come out either to look at that. So that is one of my concerns, and I hope that's one thing that's on the punch list as well.
Is that the berm?
That's the berm in our backyard, yeah.
Okay. What's your address again, Drummond?
13466 Drummond.
13466 Drummond? Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other public comment for the utility board? Anything online or submitted online, Jen?
No hands are raised.
Okay. All right, we thank you all for your comments. We're going to bring Matt Murphy up here, please. If you wouldn't mind, sir. Just if you can come up to the podium, to the microphone, and just give us your title, I guess.
I'm the president of Gatlin Plumbing.
Okay, all right. Hopefully you were soaking everything in that the concerns that people have. There's no doubt there's been some problems there. Can you maybe address some of these topics here, or all of them, with the residents?
Yeah, like you guys said, it's been dry, and, you know, we've had a lot of rain lately, so the grass is coming in a lot of places where it wasn't a couple, you know, weeks ago, and we're going to be cutting the grass in a lot of those areas where they're in the easements that aren't, you know, in people's yards, so, you know, it looks a lot better, and I wrote down the addresses now. You know, like the invisible fence, I'll have to call Holy Moly for locates for when I bury it, because 2 Comcast lines were hit back there because they're different elevations. So I don't want to, you know, have those problems.
So are you working closely with Nice Engineering?
Yeah.
Engineers?
Yeah.
Okay. So Neil,
I got all these addresses to
Thank
make
you.
sure they are on the punch list, and if not, they shall be.
we spent, $2 million in this project, and it was a big undertaking, taking existing homes and replacing what we replaced. There was no question about it. I knew it was, when we embarked upon, it was going to be a challenge and frustrating for the folks that are already present. They live there and have established yards. I kindly would ask that you stay close with Neil. Are you doing the landscape restoration, or are you working with somebody?
We did ourselves. I mean, it's very, very hard to get any especially landscaping right now.
Okay.
Right now, when we bid public jobs, I can't even get landscapers to bid the work.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a whole new, and I apologize, you know,
I think we need to make sure that
We need to make it,
everything's restored to where it was, their
Yeah.
fences are put back in, their fire pits are put back in.
Yeah.
Whatever you've removed or destroyed needs to be corrected.
Within a couple of weeks, we'll start putting in fences, but I didn't want to put in fences until the grass was grown, because if we put the fences in, how do you get back to the yards to, you know?
Yeah, well, I
to
will,
do landscaping?
I will speak of an experience with a family member that contacted me that lives in Utopia, which I thought was very unprofessional, regarding the fences. And I'm just a suggestion, if you guys contract out with the town anymore, the fence was removed in the easement. There was no notification given that day that the fence was being pulled out. Now, of course, he received a letter in advance, but it said something to the effect, I don't live in Utopia, but it said something to the effect that it could be removed within 30 days or something. But the day it got removed, there was no notification, small kids that live in the house, dogs, and they could have just taken off. And that's the kind of stuff, people in there are having an issue with the communication here, with us, with you guys, and that stuff, it's really simple, it doesn't really cost anything to knock on somebody's door to just give them a heads up. It goes a long way with someone like me. If I've told Neil about this, there's certain things that we're not gonna be able to avoid that's really gonna tick people off, but if there's avoidable things, we should be avoiding them.
Courteous.
Yeah, because it's just pouring salt in the wounds for people.
And I put my cell phone on letters too, you know,
Okay.
so.
You might not hear about some of these things, but we hear, being in the community a lot with
No, I
residents.
understand.
Okay. Neil, I'm sure everybody here is gonna want dates.
Yeah, timeline.
So we don't wanna be sitting here in October, November, people wondering what's going on. We need, the people in the crowd want, deadlines. What are our deadlines here?
The best deadline would be to have the contractor tell you what those are. I mean, ultimately, we can't go to their house, kidnap them, and handcuff them to the equipment, but we do have recourse in terms of the retainage, the performance bond, and the labor material payment bond to address those issues. So I would say that the best course of action is to any individual residents contact the contractor directly and let town staff, Chris and I, know of what those issues are, and we can make sure they're addressed in a timely manner with the contractor.
Okay. But the contract, when is the contract, the obligations of the contract, when is that deadline?
I don't have that contract in front of me, but I can get that to you in 24 hours if that's acceptable.
Do you know that off the top of your head, Mr. Murphy?
It got pushed back because, we started so much later than, we were supposed to start in April or May, and we couldn't start till October because we couldn't get the material.
Okay,
So it's pretty much October, November, but we want to get it done too.
Okay.
And I'd like just to get, a punch list, and we'll set a date, say 15 days to do another walkthrough. I mean, we can't make grass grow, certain areas, but I'd like to, write down addresses, specific addresses, because there's 100 houses, there might only be 10 or 15 houses. And we can address those each,
Neil, did you get every address?
Everyone, yes.
Everyone, okay, and then you'll communicate with Mr. Murphy to get those addresses?
Yeah.
But there's many more that aren't here tonight that
That's what I-
probably
Yeah.
need.
The
Just
whole subdivision.
just as they're not here tonight, expressing their reasonable concerns, doesn't mean they're not on the punch list already.
Yeah, I want to make sure that,
Correct.
Neil, get with me on when actually the deadline for that contract is for the work to be completed.
Absolutely.
And then any of the people in the audience listening in, watching this later, my contact information is all on the town website. If you guys want to give me a call, email me, I can get you guys that information, but, yeah, it just sucks for everybody to go through any project, but.
like some of that, stuff you've got down there, I had, some work done by a utility company in my yard, and that, whatever it is, you run a lawnmower over it, your lawnmower gets tangled up in that stuff. There is other types of material out there, I've seen it on TV, I don't know how it works, that you can roll that right out, and it doesn't have that, netting in there.
Yeah, but to get that kind of volume, that's the problem, when you're trying to get 30,000 square yards.
They say it comes in great big rolls, I don't know, I've never used it, but I've watched it on TV commercials.
And we got most of that pulled down, so we'll throw seed down, and we'll do a weekly, we've been doing a weekly, usually the best day is Friday or Saturday, and it looks like it's gonna be dry this weekend. And last weekend and all that, it looks like it got scalped because it got wet, and the lawnmower, it was so tall, we had to do something.
Yeah, that's not the only concern of folks, but the punch list items, we're leaning on Neil to protect the town's interest and the residents' interest on this, and, frankly, to keep the contractors in line, so, but we appreciate you coming here, Mr. Murphy, and addressing these questions, and then we'll make sure that folks reach out to you if they have any other questions pertaining to that scope of work. That's okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Do they have a phone number that they can contact your office?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Please respond to the emails, because I know one individual in our subdivision said she sent 3 emails and left 2 voicemails and hasn't heard anything. And all she wanted was a fire pit go back. That's it. And that's over like a month span.
On that one, 'cause I know, we gotta wait for the grass to grow.
Oh, him.
we water all.
Weeds are growing.
No, I'm saying grass to grow. I met you that one time, remember I came over your house?
And it's worse now than it was, and the guy who was out cutting grass, he was weed whacking it, he doesn't.
Well, yeah, some areas.
Sorry.
It's okay, Mr. Murphy. Do you mind talking with these folks afterwards? We want to keep the meeting rolling along.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
mind addressing their concerns?
Yeah.
Here? Okay, all right. All right, thank you, guys.
Mr. Chair, I would like to, along this line too, there was tree removal that took place as part of this project. They will not be restored by Gatlin. It is something that the town's going to undertake as a replacement program. We are going to create a list of native species trees that will then be mailed out to the affected people in the subdivision for them to select native plantings to replace the trees that were cut down with.
Okay.
Our Parks Director and our Public Works Superintendent have been pricing out and looking for native trees and potential grants that we could use to offset the cost of that.
Okay.
And also, we're not gonna do the parkway anymore, right, since it interferes with curbing?
Ideally, we would like to have the property owners to plant the trees between the house and the sidewalk, not in the easement, because it destroys the sidewalk there. There's plenty of examples in that subdivision of sidewalks that have heaved over many years because of the trees that were planted in that area. So to avoid making the mistake that we know will happen, we would like them to be planted in the yard.
So those comments you just sent out, or just read out, did you do a letter, did we do a letter, Neil, to let every single person in Utopia understand those things?
Regarding the tree replacement?
Tree replacement.
No, that's something that's being handled on a staff level.
Okay.
Yeah.
We should probably put it in a newsletter at least next month. The more information is better. Lack of communication is why
We'll find a way.
balls get dropped.
I also attended a networking meeting with Northwest Indiana Forum about a week ago, and I talked to the Legacy Foundation, and they told me that the park is eligible to get grant money, and I gave Hope that information. So the contracts or the grant applications are going to be put in September, and they've got to October to get them completed. So hopefully, maybe they can use some of that grant money if they get it.
All right, thank you, Bob. All right, this meeting is adjourned at 7:23 p.m. Next meeting is Tuesday, August 15th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. Please stick around, the town council meeting will follow.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, July 18th, 2023, Town Council public meeting. If everybody can please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and then a moment of silence, and keep some of those little kids that got swept off their feet in prayer. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan.
Here.
Julie Rivera is absent. Nick Cupido.
Here.
Ralph Miller.
Present.
Colleen Scheven. Here. John Foreman.
Present.
Richard Sharp is absent. I am present. Chris Salatas.
Present.
David Austin.
Present. Okay, first, oaths of office for the fire department, Fire Chief Todd Wilkening. We have Mr. Travis Abel, firefighter EMT, and Mr. Patrick Schmidt, volunteer firefighter. So it looks like we'll be doing Travis first. Just Travis.
All right, Mr. Abel, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Travis Abel,
I, Travis Abel,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully support
that I will faithfully support
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Indiana,
the constitutions and laws of Indiana,
the ordinances of the town of Cedar Lake,
the ordinances of the town of Cedar Lake,
and the rules and regulations of the Cedar Lake Fire Department,
and the rules and regulations of the Cedar Lake Fire Department,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and honestly discharge
and honestly discharge
the duties of my office as a firefighter EMT, duties of my office
the duties of my office
as a firefighter EMT,
as a firefighter EMT,
to which I have been appointed
to which I have been appointed
according to the law
according to the law,
and to the best of my skills and ability,
to the best of my skills and ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
So this is for you. You can put that shape.
No,
Good job.
we let his family do it. Just to let everybody in the crowd know, Travis is our full-time person. Or another full-time firefighter we replaced somebody with. He was our next hiree. He's been with us for a year as a part-timer, and will be attending paramedic school soon. Once the next group goes through, he's in the next group, so he'll start he's going to work right away full-time, so he's going to be a huge asset for our department. He's a very well-structured person, so we're glad to have him, so, again.
More than welcome.
Okay, all right, we'll do that. Thank you. Excuse me? Oh, yeah,
You
yeah.
want to
yeah,
take a
their
photo of
families,
this
okay.
family?
No, they can do that.
Somebody's gonna take the photo?
We'll have one of ours. Whoa, that zoom's pretty bright. 3, 2, 1. Okay, I got about 5 or 6, so. Good, thank you. Anybody else? Everybody good?
Congratulations. Thank you.
So, yeah, he was supposed to do that. Travis.
Well, wait till we all sit back down.
Like I said, don't forget the comments, start over there. Please. It's okay.
Congratulations.
He's excited. All right, man, okay.
Bob.
I'm sorry.
Bob's ritual. He likes his handshake.
Oh, we got Bob.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Welcome aboard.
Yeah. Our next, person being sworn in is volunteer. Our next firefighter coming in is a volunteer who is, getting off probation, so he's been with us for
a year now as a volunteer, and we'll be swearing him in right now as well. Patrick Schmidt. Schmidt.
All right, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Patrick Smith,
I, Patrick Schmidt,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully support
that I will faithfully support
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Indiana,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Indiana,
the ordinances of the town of Cedar Lake,
the ordinances of the town of Cedar Lake,
and the rules and regulations of the Cedar Lake Fire Department,
and the rules and regulations of the Cedar Lake Fire Department.
and that I will faithfully,
I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and honestly discharge
and honestly discharge
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
as a volunteer firefighter
as a volunteer firefighter,
to which I have been appointed
to which I've been appointed
according to the law
according to the law,
and to the best of my skills and ability,
and to the best of my skills and ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Again, it's one of our volunteers. We don't have a lot of volunteers anymore, so it's always great to have a good dedicated volunteer come on board. We're starting to get a few more, so Patrick's is going to be a big asset to the department, so if you wouldn't mind shaking some hands, kissing some babies, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Okay, thanks you. Good luck to you.
Very much, congratulations.
Thank you for your service to us.
Congratulations.
There you go.
Congratulations. Did you get pictures up there or no?
No, they got it.
They didn't get pictures.
Oh, you did? Okay, I'm sorry, take your family up there and take a picture. I'm crying out loud.
That's why I'm here to make sure he's.
Team effort.
Sounds like you got enough pictures yourself.
I'm sorry, guys, I'm sorry.
Future firefighter.
You're welcome.
Dad, a lake station fireman. Oh,
Tired.
Oh, my goodness. Too many smoke eaters.
Hey, Liam, look at here. Over here. That way. Hey.
There you go.
Sorry. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry. I really do apologize. Worked out good though.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Chief Todd. Okay, let's move into public hearing. Is, item number 1, ordinance number 1456, public way vacation, continued public hearing. Rago. Yes, sir.
Mr. President, this was, there's been another request for deferral by Attorney Weiser for this item. He does intend, he sent an email to us, he does intend to be here for the August meeting. Kind of same issues persisting as before.
Okay. They're gonna miss out on summer, not be able to enjoy the deck. Okay, so, do we have a motion to defer this item to the August meeting, please?
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion by Bob, second by Colleen. Roll call?
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Nick Recupido?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Oh, I skipped Colleen, I'm so sorry. Yes, thank you, sorry.
Moving on, item number 2, resolution number 1334, additional appropriation. You want to handle this one?
Yes, so the legal notices were posted properly in both Times and the Post-Tribune, and this is an additional appropriation. Total amount being requested for the general fund, $110,000. Total for the motor vehicle highway fund, $5,000. Total for the local road and street fund, $30,000. And total for community crossing grant fund, $79,550.
Okay. Nick, would you mind reading the resolution, by title only, resolution number 1434?
Sure, Mr. President.
If you have it up.
Yes. Town of Sioux County, Indiana, resolution number 1334, an additional appropriation.
Thank you. Remonstrators, do we have any remonstrators in favor or against? Going once, twice?
This public comment?
It's a,
Yes.
it is.
Okay. I have one question then. On this 1334, I'm sorry, Cheryl Parker, 7227 West 136th Court. And on the resolution 1334, you've got under the general fund, the other services and charges for $70,000. Could you specify what's in there? I mean, not detail, but what is that consist of?
So other services and charges, that $70,000 will be going into the engineering line.
So the $70,000 would be primarily engineering?
Yes, that $70,000, I believe, that is what we discussed was that it would be going to engineering.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other discussion from the town council on resolution 1334? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 1334.
We have a motion by Colleen, second by Bob. Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Nick Recupido?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Sheehan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Moving along to the consent agenda, then minutes of the June 20, 2023 meeting. Item number 2, claims, all town funds, $2,284,000.
What about public comment?
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's very bottom of that first page.
Yes, I would back up to the bottom of the first page, public comment on agenda items. Do we have anybody that wants to stand up now and speak on behalf of any of the agenda items? Going once, twice? Okay, now we'll move on to the following page. Minutes of the June 20, 2023 meeting, claims, all town funds, $2,284,915.97. Wastewater operating, $639,893.57. Water utilities, $147,848.77. 2010 water bond of $3,733.75. Stormwater, $163,359.78. Payroll for 6/22, 6/20, 7376. It's been a while. $685,728.18, and June remittances of $229,706.10. Moving into the manual journal entries from June 1 to June 30th. Item 4, donations, police department donations of $1,000, Lisa and Jeff Bianchi of $1,000, Alan and Gina Peisel, fire department donations of $1,000, Lisa and Jeff Bianchi again, $1,000, Larry and Jen for K-9, Jen Peisel for K-9, and donation by LBL Development, LLC for $2,000. And last but not least, tag day request, Hanover Central High School cheer, August 19th, 2023, with the 26th as the rain date. Motion to accept and waive the reading of the minutes, accept the consent agenda as listed. Do we have a
Mr.
motion?
President?
Yes, sir.
The donation for the K-9 was $2,500. That's a misprint.
Oh, $2,500. Well, thanks to the folks that donated. All of the above. Thank you, Chief. Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept a waiver reading.
Okay. Motion to accept the consent agenda on the table. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ralph. Roll call, please.
Question?
Questions, Bob?
Is that tag day open? Anybody know?
Yes, Margaret checks the calendar before we're not, to make sure we're not double booking anybody.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything else? Okay, roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Nick Recupido?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Sheehan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Ordinances and resolutions, ordinance number 1466, the Hokinson Farm annexation by Old Town Homes. This would be an introductory reading. You able to read this, Nick?
Yes, sir. Town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, ordinance number 1466, an ordinance annexing certain contiguous land to the town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, and all matters related thereto.
And for those of you who aren't familiar, this is the property, the empty farm field that's on 141st and Parish Avenue, the southwest corner. Even though it's in the heart of town, it's completely surrounded by the town. So it has never been annexed to the town. So Chris, did you want to add anything to that?
Correct. This is an 80-acre farm that's not annexed. That the petitioner is Althoff Homes making the petition for annexation, and it will come in as agricultural.
Thank you. Mr. Austin, you have anything to add?
He did it.
Thank you. Okay. Roll call, please. Or do we have a motion to approve or deny?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Colleen.
I'll second it.
And we have a second by Ralph. Now, I do have a question. Mr. Austin, do we need any, the introductory reading, what we read was adequate?
It was.
Okay, very fine. Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Nick Ricciuto?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven? Yes. John Foreman?
Yes, motion carries 5-0.
Mr. President, the public hearing will be next month.
Thank you. Resolution number 1333, temporary loan 2017 RDA, A, B, and C bonds. Nick, do you want to handle that one?
Sure. Town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, resolution number 1333, a resolution authorizing a temporary loan for the 2017 RDA A, B, and C bonds of the town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana.
Jen, you want to?
Yes, so this has unfortunately become a regular business item for us regarding this bond. Whenever we receive the spring or fall tax settlement, we repay the previous temporary loan, which is what we did when we received the June settlement. We repaid the previous loan that you all approved in January. Therefore, the balance in the fund was not enough to make our debt obligation due the 15th of this month. And so I'm requesting another temporary loan in the amount of $170,003.26. And then we will repay this temporary loan upon receipt of the fall tax settlement.
Very fine.
So was there a shortfall in what
It's
we
because
received?
of the way when the original bond was issued and how DLGF approved.
Timing.
Yeah, it's the timing. It's
Okay.
just the way they approve everything, and we can't collect the necessary property tax up front in order to make that first, so then it kind of threw us off as we go along.
Okay. Is it ever going to correct itself?
Not with this one, but moving forward with bond issues, it has.
Okay.
DLGF is much better about working with us and timing things appropriately so that we get the initial to make our debt obligations. So we're not constantly having to do this with every bond issue.
Okay.
And this is something that we've done all the time because we don't have the money, as Jen said, and then we pay it back when we get our next tax draw.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Bob.
Okay, do we have a motion to accept?
So moved.
To accept, Bob?
Yes.
Motion by Bob?
$170,003.26.
That's correct. And do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Ralph. Any other questions, anybody? If not, roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Nick Ricciuto?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Resolution 1335, Fire Department Transfer Resolution.
Mr. President, Town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, resolution number 1335, a resolution authorizing appropriation transfers by the clerk treasurer for the following fund during budget year 2023.
Thank you. Chris, you want to,
Jen,
looks like Fire Department, Jen.
So this was a request by the fire department to transfer a total of $3,800. That's $1,000 from line 391 awards and promo to 131 uniform allowance, $1,800 from line 339 copier lease to 131 uniform allowance, and $1,000 from 446 PPE safety gear to 131 uniform allowance.
Okay, yeah, and the first one was from 398, I think you said 395. So, okay, thank you. Do we have motion on this item, or any other questions? Motion by Bob,
I'll second.
second by Colleen. Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Nick Rakupido?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Moving on, BZA Plan Commission item, performance letter of credit, Beacon Point East, Unit 2. Chris?
So this would be extending a maintenance, the performance letter of credit for Beacon Point East Unit 2 from People's Bank in the amount of $82,135.46. And it will be, I believe, extended for a term of at least 6 months. And we have attached an engineer's, our engineer Don Oliphant's letter dated
July 28th?
July 28th?
Yes.
No. Yes, 21st, with the supporting documents that have what public infrastructure that is supporting.
Okay.
I believe it's highlighted there as well. And then another letter from Don Oliphant that requested today, again, requesting the town to extend it for 6 months in the stated amount until January 30th, 2024, as the developer works to correct outstanding items in the development.
Okay. And a revised one for April 6th of 2023, revised from May 30th of 2023.
Correct. We threw a lot more. We threw all the historical documents for this particular letter of credit for your viewing pleasure, but the most recent one was Don's letter he did
July
today.
21, okay.
Mr. Austin, not considering this at all, just for knowledge sake, and actually some people had brought this up because there are outstanding items there that need to be completed and fixed. What happens when the town council does not renew a letter of credit?
On its face, the letter of credit surety will expire if it's not accepted and term is allowed to run. The alternative to that decision, which is do nothing and let it expire, is to do something. That something usually is in the form of calling the performance letter of credit surety to fulfill the responsibilities or completion items, if any there are to be completed. So it's a multi-assessment, multi-path review.
So everybody's aware that there's outstanding items there. Would it behoove us to have some kind of update here? Maybe an update the next meeting, or 30-day update to push people along to come up with a plan here to fix, namely the water issue that residents have brought up with the stormwater?
That can be done. This is an item that probably should be returned to the Plan Commission. Your Plan Commission has exclusive jurisdiction over subdivision plats. This relates to that, and ask them to monitor this and provide you a report.
Okay. But Don's letter's pretty thorough.
Well,
Very thorough on this one, John.
Yeah, he seems to have nailed. Again, this is one of these things, I think we just gotta,
I would just like to have some update. I get residents calling me and I just, they're working on it. Well,
Don's not here to ask, do you think they're at 80% filled out yet?
I don't think they are they?
I don't think so.
No.
Obviously, we do have a Plan Commission meeting coming up tomorrow.
Right.
Don will be there. Don't remember if Schillings will be on the agenda, but certainly they will be on August.
That item is an agenda item for the Plan Commission.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which item is?
Schilling and the letters of credits are specifically on their agendas as well.
I guess where I was going with that, Nick, is performance letter of credit is a good thing, an extension for that. Okay, you never want to convert from a performance to a maintenance.
I get that,
That's
yeah.
the big step.
Yeah.
so.
It's just that we have residents over there that are concerned with some issues,
Yeah.
and people are supposed to be working on it, developer and engineers behind the scenes, and,
Right.
now we're kicking that can down the road again another 6 months,
Yeah.
you know? People are getting restless.
Right now it rained more, so.
Yeah. Is it possible, well, I'll wait till the motion's made, or I can make the motion. I would like to maybe have an update, from Chris, if you can get an update from Don on this stuff, if he can get some solid answers from the developer on this stuff as far as the fix with the ditch.
I feel you're going to have a similar answer to what Neil gave you with Gatlin and Utopia, but I will try to. I do know, having talked with Don, and you've been uniquely involved in this as well, that it is something that's being worked on, but we'll try to get some firm timelines or deliverables if we can, out of the developer.
Okay.
For the performance, well, if it's extended, it'd be January 30th next year. Yes.
Okay.
January 30th is always a difficult time to complete things, if winter's normal. So some discussion probably ought to be had about
Nick's
extension
question
into
is
the
fine.
spring.
I would imagine that given that they're only requesting a 6-month and not a 1-year extension, they probably do have a fix coming at least soon, but again, I will try to get as much information as possible.
Yeah, in time for the next town council meeting, if you could, please?
Yes.
Okay.
So
Anybody else?
Are you gonna make a motion?
If you're ready for a motion?
Any other questions?
No? Okay.
Okay, would somebody care to make a motion?
Mr. President, I'll make a motion that we extend this letter of credit for Beacon Point East Unit 2, to include, Christopher B. Burke's letters, and, also I'm requesting an update, by the next meeting on a fix for the well-known stormwater problems that people are having back there.
Okay, we have a motion by Nick Cupido. Do we have any second?
I'll second.
Second by Colleen. Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Nick Rapido?
Yes?
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven? Yes. John Foreman?
Yes. Motion carries 5-0. Next item, release of maintenance funds payable to Tech Credit Union in the amount of $5,789.90. The term to hold expired on 12/10/2022, and authorize the clerk's office to cut a check for the same. Jen?
So through working with the building department, this one came back up. The plan commission previously made a motion in 2019 to refund Tech Credit Union $57,898.96 of the original performance funds in the amount of $63,688.80. At that time, it was recommended by the town attorney to hold a maintenance letter of credit fund in the amount of $5,789.90 for a period of 3 years. The 3 years has thus expired in December 22, and so it's time to return the amount held.
Very good, thank you.
So this is for the Tech Credit Union building?
Yes, from when they
Yes.
built it,
Okay.
this was held back, and
Okay.
so now we're repaying it.
All right.
Okay, do we have anyone wanting to make a motion to accept or deny, please?
I'll make a motion to accept and pay Tech Credit Union in the amount of $5,789.90.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a Colleen motion, second by Nick. Chris, Mr. Austin, do you like to add anything to this, or no?
No, I think that's
Cut
good
direct.
explanation.
Thank you, roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Nick Rapido?
Yes?
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes, motion carries 5-0. New business item number 1, Morris Street Water Main Extension Project Bid Award. Chris?
So we've had we conducted a public bid, we received one bid, from Gatlin Plumbing. Their base price was $912,250. Reviewing with two alternatives, the first alternative would be for a reduction in cost, because they would, instead of doing a ductile iron pipe directionally bored under Cedar Creek over there by the Lighthouse Well, or is that Founders Creek? Sorry, Founders Creek north of Lighthouse Well. It would be a directionally bored HDPE pipeline. The second alternative would be for the rest of the pipeline along the project area to go from ductile iron pipe to C900. It would be my recommendation, if we're going to undertake this, would be for the base price at alternative 1. C900 is not our developmental standard. Ductile iron pipe is, but certainly HDPE is most desirable to be directionally bored under any waterways.
So you're saying base price plus alternate one?
Correct. So alternate one would be the reduction of $12,250.
Right.
Correct? That was what we were going for? Yes, sir.
Okay.
This would be paid out of, as we'd expressed previously, but I'll just reiterate it, system development charges from the water utility, which is new growth, paying for development, and any remaining balance to be paid out of the TIF district, which this project was also contemplated in the TIF district.
Very fine, thank you.
How many,
This would,
why did only one, company bid on it? Why didn't more bid on it? Do you have any idea?
I don't, other than
How
there's
many
a lot of
did
work
they-
out there.
People are busy.
I believe we had approximately 6 contractors come to the pre-bid meeting, so they were at least interested, but only one was interested in actually supplying a bid proposal.
Wow.
Is there a sense of urgency with this line, with this project, where we couldn't wait to bid out again and try to get
We did this with our Bartlett Wahlberg bathroom and pavilion project, and it's now going on 2 to 3 years, something in that time frame. We redid 2 public bids, and the first time we bid it, in 2022, we received no bids. Last year, we received 1 bid, which was extraordinarily high and left a lot of pieces of the project out of the proposal. Unfortunately, I think due to the volume of construction going on right now, the amount of federal dollars supporting capital projects throughout the country, I'm not confident we will receive an additional bid. But it is the purview of the town council to decide that.
Okay, I mean, a little concerned because of the fact that, I know it's not a lot of money, but engineer's estimate came in at $857K, and this proposal is, $900,000, so, just something to consider.
Yeah, plus or minus 5% is probably.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I sat in a lot of meetings like this, and I find these coincidences coming periodically. We have tonight a lengthy discussion about the Utopia project with Gatlin Plumbing. And here you are facing a bid award opportunity, and Gatlin Plumbing is the only bid party. May I suggest that in the event that an award is made to Gatlin, and it may well be, I'm not here to tell you not to do that, that there be a, I'll call it come to Jesus, that's the lawyer will call it the courtroom, type of discussion had with Gatlin if and when a bid award meeting is had.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Certainly, too, we will be soliciting a quote for construction observation from Christopher Burke Engineering. So although if this project is awarded to Gatlin, it will be under Christopher Burke's guidance instead of Nice Engineering. So Christopher Burke has prepared these bid proposals, bid documents, and engineered design, and they will also be overseeing the construction observation.
Okay.
It'll also be not in a residential subdivision, so I think there's definitely some differences between the 2 projects.
Okay.
I think this is in the context of pick up their attention to the details.
Yes.
Anybody else? Do we have a motion? Morris Street Water Main Extension Project bid award. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the bid.
Okay, that bid is for base price plus alternate one for a total of $900,000?
Yeah.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor for Ralph,
I'll second.
from Ralph, second by Colleen. Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan,
No.
Nick Recupido,
No.
Ralph Miller,
Yes.
Colleen Scheeben,
Yes.
John Foreman.
Yes. Motion passes 3-0.
No, it has to go by 4 votes, right?
You do, need 4 votes.
Need 4 votes? Okay, motion fails.
Is there another motion?
Do we have, anybody else want to make a motion either to deny or defer until perhaps Chris has the meeting, or Mr. Kubiak, do you have any suggestions for this item? You raised your hand. Okay.
I will make a motion that we, re-seek, bids.
We have a motion by Bob to rebid the project. Mr. Carter, I just don't know what, if
Well, it's
people came.
it's $900,000, surely there's gotta be somebody out there willing to bid on something like this.
Not necessarily.
We have to follow the state law, so I'm not sure. Is that legal?
6 people came and only one bid.
Well, so I have a question, or do you have something, Ted?
I was just gonna say that the cost of rebidding it is gonna be greater than the difference between that 857 and, by the time we do all the advertising and redoing it. I mean, I guess, I know that the Gatlin has some complaints about the restoration project and the time, but that's a 1-year project, and we're at 9 months. You know, and it is a huge inconvenience, and there's a lot of irritated people. I mean, just think of your backyard, a bomb going off for the whole year, and it seems like it's been forever, but realistically, there's still 3 months to finish that, and, you know, I mean, it's going in the right direction. Again, I mean, our guys that have been out there with Gatlin's guys, finding those old pipes and getting the houses hooked up, and there's been a lot of positive with them in this, because there was a lot of stuff that was unknown, and they've done a great job getting the water lines back in there. I know that there's some people with heartburn for the restoration portion of it, and unfortunately, like, if you listen to these people, you know, a couple people wouldn't even let them spread dirt in their yard because they had beautiful yards, they want to do it themselves, but then they have to drive through their beautiful yard to get to the next yards down the line, because there's only one way in and out of those places. So everything they've done in there is pretty challenging, but, I mean, it's not like they're a non-reputable contractor. I mean, all of the actual water line work, and again, I don't know how true, you can't find a landscaper, but some days, you know, sometimes it's harder than others to get people to do stuff, and, I mean, they're getting it done, but I don't know that, I mean, I'm agreeing with Chris on the rebidding, because it seems like every time we spin our wheels, we're, you know.
Is there a busy time for municipalities to bid, to put work out to bid? Like, or is it?
Just always,
I
think that the commercial work has picked up so much, like commercial development around this region, that there's so many little restaurants and underground, you know, there's a lot of work being done everywhere, so I think it's, you know, the number of guys out there, I mean, we had 6 people pick up these things, and, you know, they're probably bidding on a lot of different projects, and.
That's why I was just wondering if maybe there's a possibility that the companies that weren't awarded some of these contracts, there'd be an opportunity for them now to bid on this, you know?
I mean, I talked to a couple of people, and they said they had so much work lined up, they couldn't even come to get it, so. Next year, they were booked up for the next year, so.
Mr. President,
It's up to you guys.
Yes, sir.
the law in Indiana is that an award should be made to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder.
That was my question.
Responsive is responding to the bid specifications and notice of bidders and the bid spec package. They've done that.
Correct.
The responsible side of it is what kind of a contractor they are. And I'm not here to suggest that they are anything but an okay and appropriate and typically qualified contractor. Just that you have a public meeting stage here tonight of citizen concerns about a project that company is doing. So we're on notice now.
You bet.
Really, that's what that's about, and if there's a, construction engineer from one of the projects the town uses assigned to it, and that's what that contractor is formed, to kind of come to Jesus, and at the award, or not pre-award, but post-award meeting. That's a pretty good way to go. Gatlin's been in business a long time in the area. If that's a problem for you, of course, that's a problem for you, you don't need to vote for it.
You bet.
But they have been around a long time.
I guess the responsible part of responsive and responsible, in my eyes, and the experiences that people that live there have had, remains to be seen in the next few months. I just wish we were maybe considering this a few months down the road, giving them an opportunity to kind of right the ship, so to say, in there, but...
So that's why I introduced this topic tonight by saying all the meetings I've been to over the years, how coincidental that this happens, and it does.
Yeah.
Well, with the dialogue that took place, Bob or Nick, or Ralph or Colleen, anyone care to make a motion again?
Bob already made.
Bob's got a motion.
Oh, what was your motion, Bob?
To rebid.
So legally, can we do that?
You can.
So we have a motion on the floor by Bob for a rebid. Do we have a second?
Is there a timeline on when it needs to be rebid?
At an expense. Well, when were you trying to have this completed by? Chris?
Mid next year?
So if it went out to bid, again, what would be the cost to us?
I'd have to get a calculation from our engineers on what their time, labor, mailing out, review of bids, pre-bid meetings. I can't give you that answer right now.
What did it cost us before?
Oh, what's a
I
lot?
don't have that information right in front of me, unfortunately.
Jen,
I was
would
not
you have any
prepared
idea?
to
We'd have,
discuss the cost of issuing a bid proposal.
we'd have to pool the individual invoices for the last,
Christopher Burke.
I couldn't even tell you when Christopher Burke began their work on this, and then we'd have to go through and we'd have to pull out all the hourlies, because something like this is traditionally put under our general billing with quite a few other items, so this would take some time for us to pull out.
My only hang-up here is I'm not happy what we're seeing in Utopia.
Yeah, and
My only thing with that, though, this isn't gonna be residential. This isn't gonna have even close to the same, so as Tim said, he's not having a problem with what they are hired to do, with the work that they do as far as running pipe and plumbing. The issue became with, landscaping and fixing people's yards. We're not gonna have that issue this time. So I don't know that it's worth spending the extra money, only because doing this through the parks and some of the other stuff, we've reissued several times to have people rebid and we get nothing better.
There's 4 residential properties that this project goes through. Otherwise, it's all either town-owned property or Paradise Cove owned by white properties.
right.
White lodging.
They've been in 100 backyards in Utopia.
Yeah, so they're pretty good at that, right?
I mean, and it is, that's a rough task, right? I'm not gonna lie.
Bob, you want, since it doesn't sound like we have a second to your motion, do you want to rescind?
Well, if it dies for lack of a second,
Any
Yeah,
second?
without knowing the cost of re-advertising out for bid and all that, I have a hard time seconding that.
so it dies for lack of a second.
Okay, would anyone else, so
With that,
that motion dies, would anyone?
With that, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay.
We defer this so we have a full council.
We have a motion on the floor for deferring this to the August meeting. Do we have a second?
No, because I'm not gonna be at that meeting, so we won't have a full council. You would have to make it the next meeting after that.
Do I do it for the 30?
Well, I don't know the date, let me look at it. 15th. Okay, Okay, so the 15th? Motion to defer to the 15th. You agree with that?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor with a second. Anyone else, any questions?
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
Chris, there are no bid deadlines, are there? We creeping up on,
Believe there's a minimal 30-day window for us to hold bids. I would have to double check with Don on that.
But if it's just...
I believe we have a minimum 30-day window to hold bids.
I would have thought it might have been 60.
I believe it's 60, but I don't want to be overly
I got you.
liberal.
I got you.
And again, this is just to defer, not to
we're not rebidding.
rebid, to defer, so.
Correct, but the bids do expire over a certain time. You can't hold them indefinitely.
I gotcha. Okay.
And then the pipe materials need to be ordered also, so.
Yeah, 'cause there's also that consideration of getting material because ductile iron pipe has been extremely difficult to get hands on.
Would you mind changing your motion to the first meeting in August? Even though you won't be here?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So that's now the 8th.
Well, that was Ralph, yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ralph.
Yeah, I can change it.
Change it, okay. And you concur?
Yes.
Deferral will be to August 1st.
Yeah.
8/1 meeting. Yeah, thank you, 2 weeks prior. Okay, we have a motion and a second to defer this to the August 1st meeting. Any other questions? Before we move on, roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan.
Yes.
Nick Recupero.
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Colleen Scheven.
Yes.
John Foreman.
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Good discussion, thank you. Item number 2, consider a board safety favorable recommendation dated June 28, 2023 for clarification of the protein tactical performance town council motion of April 4, 2023. Made after receiving a BOS favorable recommendation dated March 23, 2023, to include language specifying the town's workers' compensation protocol must be followed. Who wants this one? Chris?
No, what,
The explanation of what you just read is exactly what it is.
Okay.
and maybe have, Bill talk about it a little bit?
It is what it is, he says, so.
It
Probably don't
says
need-
that the town will follow its workers' compensation protocol in all instances.
Okay.
So I was at the meeting and they did a good job in explaining it.
Nope, I agree with Chris.
Okay. Do we have a motion for
I'll make a motion
approval or denial?
to approve it.
Motion by Colleen to approve the Board of Safety favorable recommendation. Do we have a second?
A second.
And we have a second by Nick. Roll call, please, if there's no discussion.
Robert Carnahan.
Yes.
Nick Recupero.
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Colleen Scheven.
Yes.
John Foreman.
Yes, the motion carries 5-0. Item number 3, disbursement request number 3 for 2022A, Project Trustee Fund 1001-031163 in the amount of $19,423.47.
The costs incurred here, and I believe, is A is police, right? Yes, because it's the smaller of the two. These are both for K2M design work, for design fees. The first request is for $11,935.88. The second one, $7,487.59 to make the total of the $19,423.47. And as before, reviewed by GM Development,
Okay.
Veritas, Sue, Jen, and now it's in front of you.
Okay. Any questions? Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Motion by Ralph to
I'll
approve.
second.
Second by Colleen. Questions? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan.
Yes.
Nick Recupero.
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Colleen Scheven.
Yes.
John Foreman.
Yes, also, motion carries 5-0. Moving into the next item, disbursement request number 2 for 2022B, Project Trustee Fund number 1001-031164 in the amount of $32,234.67. And it looks like this is for the 19,808.46 for the fire and also $12,426.21 for the fire. Is that correct, Chris, for design fees?
Spot on.
Okay. So if any questions, I would entertain a motion without any questions.
I make a motion to approve.
Motion by Colleen for approval.
2022 B Project Trustee Fund for $32,234.67.
Very good. Motion by Colleen. We have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Nick Recupero. If no questions, entertain roll call.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Nick Recupero?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Fire Department reimbursement agreement with Travis Abel. Let me find that item. Abel. This is the paramedic firefighter reimbursement agreement, pretty standard boilerplate, Mr. Austin?
It's exactly that. It's
Okay.
part of their policy and procedure for being hired.
Very good. Okay, that being said, do we have any questions or anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the reimbursement agreement with Mr. Travis Abel.
We have a motion by Nick, who seconded it?
Bob.
Bob? Second by Bob Carnahan. Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Nick Recupero?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Item 6, acceptance of Sullivan Trust Parcel Uniform Property Acquisition Offer, Founder's Creek.
So this is one of the 6 parcels needed for the Founder's Creek Trail project.
Okay.
So this will be paid out of the park impact fees, and this is for an amount of $2,400.
Yep.
Did this go before the park board?
No, this project was undertaken before the park board was finished.
Are they aware of it?
They are aware of it.
And for the audience, it's the property across the street that'll connect Lemon Lake to the town grounds here.
So, these were all willing sellers?
Correct.
Yeah.
They agreed to sell their property at the existing price.
Every one of these that we've got coming up
There
here?
were 6. There were 6
Okay.
parcels, and they all agreed.
Okay.
Didn't
All right,
really
good
go
deal.
to the permanent.
So do we have an acceptance, or a motion to approve or deny on the
I'll
Sullivan?
make a motion to approve.
Okay, Colleen, motion to approve, item 6 for the Sullivan Trust. We have a second?
I'll second it.
And we have a second by Ralph Miller. Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Nick Recupero?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Item 7, ratify acceptance of Mendoza counteroffer for Morris Street and Constitution Avenue easements and authorization of processing said documents by town manager, clerk treasurer, and town attorney. East Side Water Improvement Project. Chris?
So these are actually 2 easements, the 2 counteroffers. The first one is for $4,000 for the easement, $500 for reasonable attorney fees. The second easement is in the amount of $14,500 with $500 in legal fees.
Okay.
Again, willing sellers.
Okay. Everybody heard the explanation? Questions or a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the ratification, the acceptance of the counteroffer.
Okay, we have a motion by Nick.
I'll second it.
Second by Ralph. Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Nick Recupero?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Item 8, acknowledge and accept 2 Mendoza permanent easement agreements and authorize the town manager, clerk treasurer, and town attorney to finalize execution of the documents. Essentially the same, Chris?
Yep.
Different amounts? Let me find it.
Which documents would need to be finalized?
These ones are the actual, easement agreements themselves.
Okay, that we have in the packet, right? Those just have to be executed?
Yes.
Okay.
And the permanent utility easement agreement. Again, it's the standard?
It is.
Okay. 14th day of July, 2023. Would anybody care to make a motion on these?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Colleen. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Ralph. If no questions, entertain roll call.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Nick Recupero?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes. Motion carries 5-0. Moving on, acknowledge and accept Blagojevich permanent easement agreement and authorize the town manager, clerk treasurer, and town attorney to finalize the execution of the documents. I would assume this was donated, right, Chris? So there's no payout to them?
The consideration for this easement, instead of dollars, were, the owner, Pete Blagojevich, would like approximately 4 oak trees cut down that would be within the easement, and the property sloped to a 4-to-1 slope.
And you read by, Sam, everybody's good on
Our engineer, TJ, and Christopher Burke, was out there with me and the property owner, and Dave prepared the acquisition information.
Perfect.
Any idea what the cost of that's gonna be?
0.
Yeah, but for cutting the trees and stuff down.
We would probably do it.
Yeah, I think Public Works can undertake some of that, unless they're a little more difficult, approximately $1,000 a tree roughly.
And they're in the way anyway, regardless, so.
They would need to be cut down regardless as part of the project, and then the sloping, is minimal with the dirt, and I think it's probably sloped in a way that it's more hauling out dirt than it is
And we can do
bringing
that.
in. That would be done by whoever's contracted to do the project.
And that's 3-4 years down the road.
These are easements for the water line project you just
Oh,
referred
okay,
to.
no, we need these now, I'm sorry.
Yes. So I hope not 3 to 5 years.
No, I was thinking this was for the trail, I apologize.
Yes, the trail would be in 2028.
Yeah. Okay, do we have a motion for the Blagojevich easement agreement?
So moved.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion made by Bob, second by Nick, and thank the Blagojeviches for working with us on the deal they cut. Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Nick Recupedo?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven? Yes. John Foreman?
Yes, that motion carries 5-0. It's Christopher Burke Engineering, change order 2, stage 2 dredging with Dredge America, reflecting a decrease in the amount of $3,155.80 for a new total of $5,971,844.20. Well, after spending $1.4 million tonight, I think, as I somewhat tried to pay attention to the dollar amounts adding up, it's nice to get some money back. Unfortunately, it's only $3,100, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so, that being said, do we have a motion?
Can we get an explanation a little bit on what's going on here?
Yes, and Don's letter is in there, but kind of to briefly condense it down, there's a difference between the soft areas that would be kind of excavated by the dredge barge that's out there now, and there are certain areas that the engineers called need to be hard panned, where there'll be an additional dredge barge out there. The difference between the cost and the two quantities, and there was a small change in how much, I believe it was how much hard pan material would need to come out, which reduced the amount of cost.
Okay, and I think that in Don's report, it said that these areas were supposed to be in the original scope of work, but they were omitted for some reason.
Yeah, I'm looking at the letter right now, Nick.
Yeah, I
These
read
were
it,
intended to be
and
included in all bid alternatives, but were not included in the alternative number 2 quantities, in lieu of the green areas being included. Alternative number 2 included larger volumetric removal along the north portion of the lake, primarily within Area 10A.
Okay, if we can have that,
And
in the record, that it was supposed to be in the original proposal.
We could say the June 21, 2023 letter, if you'd like. Sure.
Next week they're gonna add on something else for 34.
Another question, I have heard conversation on the street that some property owners want them to dredge near their property and are willing to pay for it.
That is a hard no.
That's a hard no?
Unfortunately, that doesn't work like that.
Okay.
It's Dredge America, that's been passed by me quite a bit. Dredge America has been asked if that's a possibility. They said absolutely not. They don't want to have to go and contract with a million different individuals for a million different areas, having to go out and cost estimate what each person's area in front of their property would be. And then there's the added addition of they would be sending that material to our dewatering facility, which then creates an additional layer of issues where they're pricing out dredging for private individuals and dumping it into a publicly created dewatering facility.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Without even getting into the legal issues of potentially.
It gets worse.
Yeah, it's just hard now.
Okay.
Okay, so, what's the pleasure of the council for this change order 2, for saving the dollar amount? Did we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve change order 2,
We have a,
saving $3,155.80.
okay, Colleen, motion on the table, in favor. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
And we have a second by Ralph. Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Nick Bertupito?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Item 11, consider acceptance of Slather temporary easement agreement.
So both of this item and the next one's the permanent easement.
Okay.
Shirley Development, as part of their proposed lakeside development project, would need to run an off-site sewer main to Moore Street. They privately negotiated a sewer easement with the Slatter family, and then they are turning that over to the town for us to hold in perpetuity.
Any costs for us?
No, other than some legal fees and reviewing the documents and such, but otherwise negligible.
Okay. Any other questions? Would somebody care to make a motion?
I'll make the motion to accept.
Motion on the table by Ralph. to
I'll second.
accept. Second by Colleen Scheven. Without any questions, roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Nick Bertupito?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes. That motion carries 5-0. And last item, consider the acceptance of Slather permanent easement agreement. Same description as you just gave us, Chris?
Yep, and just, I guess to add a little more detail on that, it'd be a 40-foot wide sewer utility easement.
40-foot wide sewer utility. That's good. Any questions? If not, motion?
I'll make the motion to accept it.
Motion by Ralph. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second again by Colleen. Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
Nick Bertupito?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes. Motion carries 5-0. Moving along, reports, town council, does anybody have anything? Bob?
Other than the Chambers having their golf outing on August 20th, and it's $85 a person, and they can only take 72 players.
And where's it at? Do you remember? Tuckaway?
No, it's,
Minnie Manette?
yeah, Vinnie Manette.
Thank you.
That's where it was in the past.
Anybody else, council?
Yeah, I just want to let everybody know that we will be having Labor Day Fest the Sunday before Labor Day from 2 to 8 o'clock at the town grounds. And we are also working on our winter festival that we'll be having out here as well.
Okay. Mr. Austin? No report? Jen?
Just briefly, I'd like to say last week, Chris, myself, Corby, we met with department heads to start going over draft budgets for 2024. I think we had a very productive meeting with each one of the department heads and various staff members in discussing plans moving forward for the future. So I'm just happy with the way discussions have started out.
Very good, thank you. Chris?
Similarly, I share probably that exact sentiment. We're also going to be reviewing the TIF district as part of the broader budget and strategic plan of the town. Working with Christopher Burke and preparing possible CCMG application for the community for the remainder amount. It would likely just be crack sealing, already submitted and been awarded for the Shades subdivision north of 141st, what we're calling Phase 1, because it'll have to be broken up into 2 sections given the cost of it. So we're trying to get some crack sealing throughout the community if the council is amenable to it, and funds allow, to try to keep up with maintenance, so that way we are not waiting every 10 years to replace roads. We're trying to extend the lives out. I think that's it for right now.
And that's community crossing grant, right?
Correct.
For the people that might not understand.
Mr. Kubiak, anything?
No, and also the striping for
The striping.
lots of 41 on 133rd, that was another part of that crack sealing, to get that finished up the rest of the way uptown.
Okay. Mr. Fisher, do you have anything?
Mr. Vice President, Council, you got our reports. For the month of June, we had a total of 1,333 calls for the month, for a total of 7,467 calls for the year. We're still averaging over 41 calls per day. We issued 142 state citations, 540 warnings. We had a total of 41 arrests, 63 charges, with 38 misdemeanor and 21 felonies, and 4 warrant arrests, for a total of 180 arrests or charges for the month, and a total of 291 for the year. You also notice in the bottom, our local ordinance, we have issued a total of 350 warnings for the year, and in the citation area, we've issued a total of 308 citations in the month of, for the year. We also have a traffic stop analysis. As you can see, with the moving to our new 12-hour shifts, it's increased productivity with the officers. So the month of June, we had over 576 traffic stops for the month, so.
Wow. And everybody likes the 12-hour shifts, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Chief Wilkeny?
June operations report, 76 calls were 76% of our calls were EMS, 17 were fire, 7% of them are crashes. And by the area, 79% are within the town of Cedar Lake, 18% are within unincorporated township contracted area. 24% of the time, our calls have overlapping calls, which are multiple calls at the same time. Thursdays are a really busy day at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so if you could avoid calling for an ambulance on Thursdays at 2 o'clock, that'd be great. But if you can, I understand. Put it on your agenda. So.
Okay.
That was a joke, that was just.
Thank you. Jen, any written communication? Or anyone online, I should say?
I was going to say there's somebody online, but I'll defer to
Chris,
Chris for
any written?
report.
I have not.
Okay.
Any written communication with council.
And we had the Christopher Burke letter, talk about economic development, redevelopment, public safety, sports complex, just kind of the boilerplate stuff that we've had on here for quite some time.
Yeah, I'll take those. The building department had 19 new home construction as of the month of as of last month for that month, which brings our total for the year up to 57, with 2 commercial permits last month, and I believe those were Culver's and Taco Bell. The Christopher Burke report, as you said, is largely ongoing existing projects, plan commission work, MS4 compliance, as well as the local road safety plan that they were asked to do. They've been working on, and they expect a deliverable potentially up to August. I wouldn't be surprised if that gets delayed, given the volume of work that we've got going on right now and what's being requested of them, especially through the redevelopment commission and looking at the TIF and driving up these TIF maps.
Okay.
With Veritas, same thing. The public safety building is consuming an enormous amount of their time as of right now.
Okay, thank you. Public comment, please, if anybody would like to come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
Tracy Haskell, 13436 Osborne Street. July 5th, speed bumps were put on Osborne Street and 135th. I understand why you did them on 134th. I know there's some residents up by the softball field. About 5 years ago, they headed out with the president at that time. His bad blood.
Okay.
They're not letting it go. They nitpick. I understand their complaints, they're allowed to. Speed bumps went in to appease them in May when softball started. I moved in that subdivision in '09.
Okay.
There was softball league. They have, once that was done in town, you had the 18 to 25 league, men's league, women's league, co-ed league. You know that moving in. Thing that changed was travel ball. This year, we've had no parking on Osborne. I live on the intersection of Osborne and 134th. We had no cars parking there when they have their travel ball tournament. The new board has done very well in that subdivision. July 5th, we went to work, came home to speed bumps. Softball, town ball is done. They ended in the middle of June.
Right.
Baseball had their huge, end of the year celebration thing at the end of June. I don't understand why the speed bumps were put on Osborne. Many of the people on that street don't understand. I kind of would like an explanation. They're flat. They're an annoyance. I leave in the morning, I go over to go on 41 to go to my daughter's. I drop off my grandson, I go over 2 to go home to get ready for work, and go over 2 more to go to work.
Right.
It's just an annoyance. We don't have the baseball, softball traffic. It's done. If they do have tournaments moving forward, the last 2 tournaments, my husband and we sit outside a lot. Had no idea they were going on until we saw the fields lit up and parents cheering. Because the traffic isn't, they've done very well.
Right.
All the parking has been down by the field.
Okay.
So I don't understand why Osborne was affected.
Okay.
I understand last year when the construction, they were put down on Osborne for the traffic control, and because they started going down Schneider, you put them there also. But we don't have that construction pushing people from 41 onto our street. So it's just the residents going over them.
Thank you, Tracy. We will address, I've been asked to keep it in the same format that Mr. Sharps had.
Thank you.
Public comment. We'll address these items
Thank you.
after we take notes. Thanks. Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you so much. David Unger, 7835 West 127th Avenue. And I'm here with my wife Patricia because we both experienced something on July 4th evening, later in the evening. We just want to report the police were very helpful that night. I think their visit to the parties exploding the flying bombs and explosions over our heads, they went to see them before they got to our house because they said they knew who was doing it. So that was helpful. They were alert. They were kind. So, but the issue is, why are these bombs being fired from a house across a lot, and somehow they're landing over our heads when we get back in the car, when we get home from being somewhere else? And the same thing happened about 8 years ago when I lived with my mother there, exact same place. So a day before 4th, I heard this familiar explosion, and I said, I wanted to walk around my house. Why should I pry? I said, no, I got to go look and see who's doing this. So in broad daylight, the day before 4th, I know who did it. A neighbor I'm not here because of a neighbor. I'd like to be neighborly, and he's been a friend. What I want to do, I came to alert the town that these were exploding over our heads. They must be projectiles coming from all the way across a lot. And the neighbor woman and her husband claimed that a fire was started in a debris pile outside their windows in that lot. So I can't have all the answers. It's just I'm glad the town responded. In a sense, I'm thankful. But apparently, I just felt the need to tell the town that this is the second time at that spot that this happens. And it does endanger life.
What was your address again?
7835 West 127th Avenue. It's on a little street called Dewey, actually. Okay. And it's one of those dead-end little side streets. And
thank you.
I don't want to have to come again. And I did appreciate the help from the police. But I understand there's some confusion about where does the law stop and where does it end. But I think it should protect people that are being landed upon by these explosive devices, which apparently fly through the air and land somewhere else. So I think I did the right thing to call them.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Absolutely, David. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
David Carter, 14025 Gilbert Street, Cedar Lake. Most of my questions were for Don, he's not here, so I'm just gonna ask the question. Beacon Point, obviously with the swamp area behind us.
Yep.
Where, the developers, not really responding, but I guess, by Don's, the engineer's admission that they're have violations there. Why can't they do a stop work order, hit them in the pocketbook, stop them, $2,000 a day, you guys got ordinances on stop work orders. I know if one single guy was remodeling their house at one point, I think it happened to me, I got a stop work order. They got MS4 violations, he admitted to them, I think I've sent Nick some of those. Why don't we just shut them down for the day? Are we afraid of shillings because they're huge, deep pockets? I don't know. Maybe stop giving them permits if they're not gonna finish up what they're starting and they're getting too big. But, I'm saying, Don, I guess I looked on the agenda here.
We got a plan commission meeting tomorrow night, if you can make it.
You got a what, I'm sorry?
Plan commission meeting tomorrow night, he'll be here tomorrow night.
Okay.
You wanna come back for public comment?
Okay, on the website where, I guess Don put out some stuff to release some of their funds or whatnot. One of the things that they haven't touched yet, obviously, were the detention pond construction, detention pond, excavation, erosion, and pond aerators. Is that, do you know if that's in reference to the pond where I'm speaking of, or is that a different pond that they're having issues?
We'll try to answer it as soon as we get done with the list.
But I think, they're a big company. If they're in violation and they're on MS4s or whatever violations, and they're put a stop work order, but I know they're pretty big and nobody wants to do that to them because there's deep pockets there, but it's an idea.
Okay, thanks, David.
Right, Dave?
Absolutely.
Legally, you can do that.
Anybody else?
Yep.
Pamela?
Pamela Davenport, 13035 Schubert Street. So I have 3 items today. The first one would be getting on with the dredging, an update. There's only been 1 film put out so far. Is there a way for another film to come out to show us where it's all going at the end again, and kind of like an update? Second thing is, been trying to be healthy, walking every day. And I've noticed my road I thought was bad. Some of your older subdivisions. Rosati's Pizza, the road that's front, you know what I'm talking about. I'm surprised I don't twist an ankle walking up that hill.
That's the worst road we have.
Yes.
And I've contacted Tim about this, and he said he's gonna try to do something. And I've talked to Chris about it.
Yeah, we'll get the answers at the end.
Yeah, okay.
Stay in the format.
Okay, again, your older subdivisions, older people who've been living here all these years would love to have the nice streets that the new subdivisions have. With my subdivision in Meyer Manor Terrace, the very back road's been paved. Why hasn't the rest of our roads been upgraded?
Okay.
The third item, again, is Potawatomi Park. I know I've asked this at every meeting, but we use it, the kids use it. It's something we need to keep forward, that we don't lose.
Swing set.
No, I'm not worried, that part I'm not worried about. I'm worried about losing that property. I'm worried about us not having the lookout, another part of the lake that I thoroughly have enjoyed for the past 35 years with my children and now with my grandchildren. We need to think of the people that have lived here long enough to have everything everybody else has.
I agree. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have anybody else?
Yeah.
Another one?
Susan Eric, 13990 Austin Street. For the Halkins Farm annexation by Alltop Homes.
So they zoned it agricultural, they're coming in agricultural. We all know it's not gonna be long before they're gonna want it residential, because they bought they're not farmers. So that intersection there is a major hub for people getting to 41, getting to the the grade school, and then they're gonna have the development thing there. Are you now at least looking forward to see what you're gonna do about that intersection when all that, and the roads, they're not wide enough for all this traffic that's gonna come in? And I don't know when all talk will start, but it's not gonna be long.
Thank you.
That's my question.
Okay, we will address it. Anybody else? Okay. I'll go in reverse chronological order, if that's okay, Chris? On that last note, I think you're right, they're not gonna be farmers. But as of what they wanna build, we, as of today, don't have any idea on that. I would assume probably single-family homes like they have across the street, but again, it's a guess and an assumption. The intersection and that road, without question, that needs to be at least a 3-lane road going all the way to US 41, in my opinion. And there's some new things happening at the state level that could very well enable us to capitalize on the ability to widen Morris to 3 lanes. In doing so, you must buy the easements from the people and so on and so forth. 141st has definitely been talked about, and it's in the eye of the storm, if you will, because especially at rush hour and school time, it's a situation that's there. We all see it, we live it, and it's real.
On that topic, can I just add something?
For sure, anybody.
We're looking into a road impact fee. Chris is working on that, and that would be new development paying an impact fee, and that could be used for some of these improvements for like an intersection like that. That would be justifiable. So that's something that we're looking into right now, and I think you got one cost estimate on it.
I have one, looking to get 2 more.
Yeah, yep.
Minimum.
As soon as it sounds, that road going west on the south, the eastbound lanes is owned by the county, and the road parish going south on the west is also county road, right? So it's not even a town road. So that's why when developers develop, sometimes they only pave half the road, because that's all their obligation is, to do a decel lane or an XL lane, and then out to the center line. So now with it being now completely annexed in the town, that's the first step for us then to properly take care of and manage that whole area. So, anybody else? Okay. Pamela Davenport, you brought up 3 M's. Chris, I'll take a stab at these, and if you want to chime in or whoever. The film update, I think that's a great idea. Just keep it in the forefront. Everybody's having to listen to the painful pumps, and especially if they live close to them, and the disruption if you have a boat on the lake. Some of these older subdivisions, I brought up, Pamela, wherever you're sitting. There's some new state laws happening that could very well enable us moving forward in the future to take care of those of us that have old houses in town that don't have proper storm drains, don't have proper footings underneath the roads, and we all know what the cement trucks and dump trucks are doing to the roads that aren't properly built. Without a doubt, and what Nick brought up, that's another excellent point. We've had a hit list for the last 12 years at least, and we're attacking it with what we can, resource-wise, and we'll keep it up. And as far as Potawatomi Park, there was some ideas for some kind of pie-in-the-sky stuff a while back, Pamela, for that whole area, but nothing's ever made it to fruition. It was 2 town managers ago, so that's where we're at. And but I still think we should do a swing set there in the meantime, just because. Yes,
Can
go
I
ahead.
jump in for a second?
Oh, it's all yours.
So we're working on the park plan, a 5-year plan, before they're going to replace any equipment over there, because it was unexpected to have to take the equipment out. It was very rapid. Our insurance company came out, said the equipment wasn't safe, it had to go. We didn't have a choice. As far as you with the pie in the eye type of stuff, even at that, it was never going to take the green space away from the people. It was going to enhance the green space and keep the park. So that there is no plan anywhere for any of us to get rid of any parks or green space in this town. Unfortunately, people come to us all the time, they're upset that they don't have more lakefront property they can access. But the bottom line is, it's privately owned homes. We can't give you more than what's there, but we have no intention to ever take that from you. If anything, we want to give you more access, better equipment, and make the parks awesome. I mean, we want parks like Crown Point has and other people have, and that's our goal here. There's no goal anywhere to take your green space or your parks from you. Absolutely not. That's all I really have.
Okay. David Carter, I think, left, but maybe he'll show up tomorrow night. But again, when there's a performance bond on a new subdivision, the people don't have to finish everything until it's 80% where they reduce it to a maintenance bond. So there's a hit list going for that, those good folks that moved into Beacon Point East, and we're on it. Nick, that's in his ward, he's all over it as well. David Unger, your comment on fireworks is well noted. Chief, I know you want to chime in on this one since it's really an ordinance type of thing.
Well, the state law is pretty clear on when you can shoot fireworks and when you cannot. You're still supposed to shoot them in a direction that's safe, in a safe manner. And it's very unfortunate that it was not in that location, but it sounds like we went over there and tried to correct the problem that they were having, so.
It was all around my face when I got out of the car and just got home. It advanced and come over the wooden fence right where I was.
Little
And just got out of the car, and I was like, well, I should stay in the car. But
As I told your husband, it's difficult on us because the state law allows them to sell them, allows them to shoot them. It gives them the exact days that they're allowed to shoot and how long they're allowed to shoot them for. And
there should be a time. That's
But you
about
can't have a $10,000 display in
Well,
your subdivision,
They put them off, but
because you gotta have open field and,
Pardon?
that's
They
the
was doing
problem.
that after 10 o'clock.
I know, that's what happens.
yeah, if it's later than the certain times that are allowed, like Fridays and Saturdays, and on the 4th, I think it goes to 10 or 11 o'clock, it's allowed. Yeah, and
That's a powerful.
and it's allowed, fireworks are allowed from, I think it's June 30th to July 9th.
That was a very,
And
very
December
powerful.
31st.
Yeah.
It was a very powerful
Yes.
firecracker.
And some of the fireworks that are being blown off or should not be being blown off. They're
That's
too
what it
powerful
was.
and they're in a
It's not
residential
about-
area, they should be in a professional area, so.
I don't
I agree,
remember,
not much you
I
can
don't
do
remember any
with-
more of it coming our way after the Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they could be shooting illegal fireworks off, but like I told you in the brief meeting that we had, the problem we have is by the time we get there, it's gone, it blew up. So we don't know what
Yeah.
kind of powder was in it, we don't know what size the mortar rounds that they're shooting are, you know, because they shoot, the only thing that's actually allowed by statute is, I think, 2.4, right? But they buy stuff that's illegal and we try to catch it, but it's
Wow.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. And then Tracy, last but not least, you know, I know we did the speed bumps and subdivisions when we did road projects, i.e. down by the Shanes and the roundabout project. And the fall parks were no exception. Everybody was cutting through there at high rate of speed when we redid 133rd. I personally think that we should have speed bumps. We have police officers, you got them on second shift now. You've cranked up the patrol. I think that's the solution. I know this has been controversial. Julie gets a ton of emails from a few people in your subdivision, Tracy. I then, on the other hand, take calls from yourself, Ralph, quite a few other neighbors. But I also understand safety for the kids, so I think this is the police.
Because of an email from a councilman that went to both of us.
Okay.
And was asked to put back up, correct?
So I think, if you guys could reassess maybe the need for it on the Osborne versus just the other. I did speak to the other council person who is not here, and
There was
she
complaints of
understood.
speeding vehicles and.
Because it does, it's annoying if you live in that subdivision, you're bouncing over it, and jacking up your car, your suspension, it's annoying, so, and I get it, but are we penalizing everybody for the one or two? So, I'm a non-fan of speed bumps. We had it in, when we redid Parish, we had it in that subdivision, and it served its purpose perfectly well. It made us all go slow enough that we didn't hit a little cab. There's no road construction anymore. I just think most people are not cutting through that subdivision. But this is a police officer thing. If you could look into it, please, and
I don't care whether we have speed bumps or not, so they were only installed by the street department because it was asked by the
They were
council.
requested
Yeah.
at one time. There were other,
It doesn't matter to me.
Tim, I know you're like a yo-yo, right? You're putting them in, tearing them out. You can't make everybody happy.
I'll take them out tomorrow, and then 2 weeks, we'll put them back in after you guys change your mind again.
yeah, because somebody will call you and complain.
That's what it was, it was a complaint.
That whole subdivision, they, half like the ball field, half don't, half like the speeders, half don't. It's hard to.
At least on Osborne, I think it makes logical sense.
Well, Osborne's the street in which the most speeding complaints are. It's not on
Perfect
Snyder,
spot.
it's not on Snyder, it's not on the individual, side roads, it's Osborne. That's where we get the most complaints for
Below the
speeding.
stop signs.
Below the stop signs, yep.
Okay.
So we have extra patrol posted for that pretty regularly, so.
And I got a request, because there was one intersection on Osborne that didn't have a stop sign. I brought it to the council, we approved it, and got all the intersections on Osborne had stop signs now. And I got the complaint.
I'm just one guy, I'm a non-fan of
Take them,
speed
we'll
bumps.
take the speed bumps and put them over by over by the ice cream shop.
We're working on that project.
I just hope that, you guys can handle this. The council doesn't need to chime in on where to put them and where not to, but if
We
there's
won't
you
put them in
guys.
unless you ask him, because we don't like them either.
So, what's the favor of the council? Would somebody like to make a motion?
I think we should wait
I think
until
we should wait till
that
Jamie's here,
councilman
she
comes
was
back.
the one who.
Okay.
Because that's the only reason they were installed.
Yeah, that was her request, so.
Okay.
Not here.
I don't have anything else after that.
What about Chris?
You guys covered it.
Yep, we got that all?
Did a good job.
Okay, looks like it's about 8:59 adjournment. Next meeting Tuesday, August 1st. Thank you all for coming very,